Asher means happy because his mom's boss was happy when he was born. She already had 4 sons of her own, but she counted Asher and his brother Gad as hers because they were born to her servant, whom she had sleep with her husband to maintain her lead over her sister, who was also married to her husband, in their competition to see who could produce the most sons and thereby be seen as the more valuable wife. By including sons born to their servants, impregnated by their husband, Jacob, Rachel had 2, and her sister Leah had 6. Asher was Leah's number 6, which made her happy. Did that make Asher happy? Like, which is better, being a source of happiness for others or being happy yourself? And if you're a source of happiness and that makes you happy, wouldn't that be the best of all? When Jacob blesses his 12 sons at the end of his life, he says, Asher's food will be rich. He will provide delicacies fit for a king. That sounds like both to me. Being happy and being a source of happiness, having rich food and providing food to others that would make a king happy. Happy to provide happiness. And that seems to have followed the tribe of Israel that descended from Asher. After 400 years of slavery in Egypt and 40 years of wandering the wilderness, Moses brought all 12 tribes to the land God promised their ancestor, Asher's great-grandfather, Abraham. And Moses blessed the tribes in a way similar to Jacob's blessing for his sons. About Asher, Moses said, Most blessed of sons is Asher. Let him be favored by his brothers, and let him bathe his feet in oil. The bolts of your gates will be iron and bronze, and your strength will equal your days. Again, sounds like happiness for Asher and happiness through Asher for others. We don't know what Asher was like. If he takes part in the action of Genesis at all, it is only as one of the brothers as they work together to do things like hating and selling their brother Joseph into slavery, and later groveling before Joseph to forgive them. The tribe, too, just sort of went along for the ride of taking hold of the promised land and neglecting to rid the land of the pagan nations that would later be their downfall, like all the tribes of Israel. So it's puzzling to have all this talk about causing and having happiness, but then not see Asher or his tribe distinguish themselves in any way that would show what happiness they had or gave to others. There is one Asherite who gets singled out in the New Testament. Her name is Anna, and she's an 84-year-old widow who spends all her time at the temple in Jerusalem, and because of that is there when 2 Judahites, Joseph and Mary, bring their boy Jesus to be circumcised. She was happy to see Jesus, and she went around telling others about him, others who were also waiting for redemption. She made them happy by telling them that Jesus was that redemption. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about happiness. I don't know that I've ever considered myself a happy person. I don't know that I'm the source of anyone else's happiness. I guess I tend to think of happiness as a burden of expectation that people saddle themselves with. I think the pursuit of happiness is a good way to spend your life constantly evaluating what's going on to see if happiness is happening, which evaluation seems to me to fly in the face of actually being happy. I'm a downer like that, I guess. But I like rich food, and I like cooking and providing food for others. I'm favored by my brothers, and they by me, although none of us ever soaks our feet in oil. I love a good gait, and have had as much strength as my days so far. I spend a lot of my days not at the temple, but at church, and I'm happy to say it's my job to point to Jesus as our redemption, and that sometimes it makes other people happy when I do. And I don't have a real point to this one, but writing it made me think about what makes me happy, and I hope hearing it made you think about what makes you happy. And in that, we got to be happy together, and to be sources of happiness for each other. And what does it all amount to? I don't know. But let's not evaluate it and defeat the whole purpose. Instead, let's just think about happiness and find it where it can be found? Most of all in Jesus. Like Asher, let's just go along for the ride and let God use us as a source of happiness for others. And let's let it make us happy to know that He does. And most of all, know that in Jesus, God is happy about us. And in Jesus, we get to be happy about Him. And that's nice. Or we could try the oil foot bath thing. I don't know. You and I are dust and breath, loved by God, bought by Jesus. This podcast is written and produced by me, Ethan Cherney, a WELS pastor serving Our Savior Lutheran Church in Pomona, California. Get in touch on Facebook at Dust and Breath Pod, on Twitter at Dust Breath Pod, or by emailing dustandbreathpod@gmail.com. Outro music arranged and performed by Mr. Peter Shawy, who is like a luxuriant native tree. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you could leave a review in iTunes or just share an episode on social media, I'd really appreciate it. It's the only way other people can find the show. Now, go do what God made you to do. Be who God called you to be. Go see what God can do with dust and breath and faith in Jesus, His Son.